I want to get your thoughts in particular on one of the industries that's of strategic importance to the Atlantic region, the tourism sector, that is going to be particularly hard hit this year. The testimony we've heard previously and in my conversations with tourism operators is that this season in a lot of ways feels like a lost one, and so many of our operators are just hoping they can hang on and preserve the tourism networks that exist for the next season. I'm curious if you can shed some insight on how the airports could play a role in the recovery for the tourism sector, and how the federal government might be able to facilitate a contribution from airports to the tourism sector's recovery.
Thank you for your question, Sean. Nice to see you. For sure, as you know, historically, Halifax Stanfield has played a significant role in the tourism industry in Nova Scotia. So 2 out of every 3 tourists who come to Nova Scotia come by way of the Halifax Stanfield Airport. And those stats are similar across the country. We have been working closely with all of the industries because it is so important that the airport be here and ready when the industry rebounds. And certainly this summer will be very difficult for the tourists. We talked earlier on the call about transportation and travel being mostly within Canada in 2020. What we have to do is we have to be financially sound, and we have to be ready when that business is ready to come back. So when you think about the tourism industry itself, and you think about what the airport, some of the comments I made earlier about the financial position we're in, and perhaps one of the ways we may get out of that through fees and charges, that will only be able, we're a non-share capital corporation, that will only be able to be absorbed by the system if it is passed on through to the travelers. And so the last thing we want to do as an association, as an airport, as an industry is increase our fees into the future to allow us to come out of this. And some of the items that I talked about in my presentation will be helpful in helping us maintain those fees at a low level, because they will be passed on to the consumer.
So what kind of fees would consumers potentially be looking at, and how would their travel experience be impacted in the event that you do need to pass these costs on? Like what give me a practical example of what a traveler might be looking at from the booking process right through to the time they board their flight?
So the airport improvement fee is a key one that may get passed on. So as we know, that's paid directly today by travelers. That is paid for the capital improvements at airports. When you look at the airports across Canada and they model out their financial stability over the next 5 years, they don't have enough revenue, because we get revenues only from passengers, to generate it to sustain the costs that are here. So that airport improvement fee, in some cases, has to go up 40 and 50% to be able to sustain our operations through the most critical period. And that's a direct pass on to the passengers. We do not want that to happen. We do not want to borrow, as our models show us we would need to do, so much so that we're not in a strong financial position to be able to support the tourism industry coming out of this.